So I heard her loud and clear. I met her, but didn't know her. My great aunt Julia came to visit. I met her dog and her little bird. We drove her home. My grandmother's half sister wore pointy glasses. I remember her bird more than I remember her. Her photo album was found in a box that belonged to my grandmother, that was found with my uncle's possessions after he passed. I scanned the album and shared the photos with family in a Facebook page. And I received a question randomly from a cousin in Ireland asking if she had any children and when she had passed. So I Googled Julia, and it turns out it was on her birthday, May 27th. She was born in 1911. Came from Glashieconleen in Ireland. Okay, Aunt Julia, I hear you. I was amazed when I saw the album. My mother's memory was great. She remembered all the old stuff way back. She remembered names. She told me about Aunt Julia and about her mother's family. I had recently seen a photo of my great-grandmother, Bridget. Her maiden name was Murphy. She married my grandmother's father, Jeremiah O'Riordan, who passed. She remarried a man named Cremin, and they had a whole bunch, I think 5 daughters that survived. And thanks to this amazing photo album that she left behind, we have their lives captured in photos back in Ireland. But mostly it's Julia living her best life. Definitely a life well lived, and lots of photos to prove it. Lots of photos of great grandma at home in Ireland and her life and our family, my grandparents, both sides of the Atlantic, surprisingly. Both sides of my mother's parents' family, mother and father, the Toomeys and the O'Riordans, or the Cremins, were friends. And to this day, I got to meet 2 cousins from opposite sides of the family, and they're both friends. Both of their grandfathers are in this album that was just sitting in a closet. Julia came over twice by ship, and she took pictures. I always thought my grandparents were the first to come over to America. I found a photo, all my cousins, and I learned that my great-grandmother's maiden name was Murphy, and that she was the youngest of 5 sisters. Her older sisters all immigrated to America. One moved back in retirement and stayed in Ireland. So apparently we've been coming back over and inviting others to come. Julia came to my grandmother, and my grandmother came to a Murphy aunt. The photo album that Julia left behind started in 1928 in Ireland and ended in 1941 in New York in her apartment. She worked for some wealthy families as a domestic servant. I've heard that one of the employers was Joe Kennedy and that he was not a nice man. Didn't work out. She came back. The Depression was on. She sailed on 2 ships, the SS Cedric and the SS Roosevelt. Came in 1929 and 1932. There are a lot of young men in her photos. I realized that based on the dates, many of them would have served in World War II. Sad to think she might have lost someone close. She died single. From what I heard, she had a good time. She passed away after a brief illness and was cared for by her sister. She passed in June of 1974 at the age of 63. She captured her life in a photo album and left it behind as a time capsule for my family. Found in time for names to be remembered and saved forever. This is a snapshot of the greatest generation, seen through the lens of a young Irish-American woman. Days spent in good company with friends and family, her travels, the Hamptons, East Durham, the Poconos, the Adirondacks, the Rockaways, the Outer Banks, lots of lakes and, just photos of her out having fun, living her life. I found an aerial photo when I visited the farm back in Glashy-Conleen. I'd included in this. This is what was she left behind. The old window was from the farmhouse, and you see some pretty cool reflections. She took a picture of the young men at the Glass School, which still stands, and in the National Archives, there are stories that they left behind, and there might be some of the writers left right here. What are the chances of me Googling your info on your birthday? I guess 1 in 365. But I was happy that I found this and was able to find old family photos and took a little time to blow some of these up. And as you see, she was quite a beautiful young lady. She was passed at 63. So there was a good 20 plus years that were left in her life after this. And she got to ship a photo from her apartment window, I'm going to guess. And one of the later pictures here was her and a guy in another apartment. Those are students at the Glass School. There's a picture here of the cross. In 1936 in Ireland, they instituted the Dance Law Act, so they outlawed crossroad dancing, where all the young people used to get together and meet, and those pictures were there at the cross. And boy, she really had quite a few friends and got around, and I'm glad she left this behind, and I hope you're enjoying this. And thanks, Aunt Julia.